It go down in the DM. It go down, it go down. It goes down in the DM. It go down in the DM. It go down, tell it down.
Welcome back to another segment of Down in the DM's Quarantine Edition. I'm Rachel Hallam here with my good friends, Ethan Bird, Ellison Hubbard, and Hunter Fillmore. Let's just jump right into it. Ethan, what's our first question?
Our first question comes from Zach Sorensen, and he asks if this year's Hall of Fame class of Kobe, Garnett, and Tim Duncan is the best Hall of Fame class of all time. I'm going to let Hunter take the lead on this one, bud.
All right, yeah. So I think just looking at all of the classes, this was really difficult because you have so many good players in that Hall of Fame. But I think, yeah, it's the best class. You look at Kobe, he's top 3 best players of all time. And then you look at KG and Duncan, who are 2 of the best low post players to ever play the game. So I think, yeah, I have to go with this is going to be the best. Strictly going off of players, if you mix in those coaches and stuff, I think it gets a little bit different because there's some classes that have really good.
Okay. I'm gonna have to disagree with you, but I'm sorry. 2009 class, MJ, who needs no introduction. David Robinson, who I'll just introduce him a little bit. 20.7 thousand points, 10,500 rebounds, 3,000 blocks. He averages a double-double over his whole career. 10-time All-Star, 2-time champ, 1995 MVP. Played all of the seasons with the Spurs. And another cool fact about him, he's the only NBA player out of the Naval Academy, and he's considered one of the best to ever play for the Spurs, alongside Tim Duncan, but I'd probably take David Robinson. And then John Stockton. He played 19 seasons with the Jazz. They made it playoffs all 19 seasons. I mean, that's a guy who could put a team on his back, 10-time All-Star, 9-time assist leader, and it's got MJ. It's like Kobe's top 3 player, MJ's top 2, and for a lot of people, he's not number 2. So 2009 all the way.
That's fair. And I like that, Ethan, because I had that same thing going on in my head. I believe that this 2020 class, though, takes over just because they all won championships. Stockton hasn't won a championship. And you got to put that in the factor that if you're not winning a championship, yes, you might be the greatest guard of all time. You might be in the top 50. But if you're not winning a championship, you're not going to be the best Hall of Fame class. Yeah, Michael Jordan, 6-time champion, has a brand all over the world. David Robinson, like you said, with all these accolades. But Tim Duncan was a defensive star too. Kevin Garnett was a defensive monster. So when you look at this, it's a fight. It's a tough fight. But Kobe, Duncan, and Garnett are just 5-time champion, NBA champion. I mean, how can you go against that, you know? How can you count out Kobe scoring 61 points in a game? How do you go Tim Duncan winning 5 championships? How do you go Kevin Garnett just being amazing? So I don't know. It was a tough one, but that's what you got to go with, like Hunter, 2020 Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's not a tough decision. Ethan, you're going to be a lone soldier in this one here, bud, because I'm going to go with this class being the top. But I look at it in – you do have to add in the coaches that are a part of it and the WNBA players that are a part of it. I mean, Tamika Catchings, she has a WNBA championship with her. The combined 3 of Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and AD, they have 11 titles between the 3 of them. That already is incredible. And then you add coaches like Kim Mulkey, who are a part of this, and she's the best basketball D1 coach that has – for me anyway, I've ever seen. I mean, she got the first one to get to 600 wins ever, male or female. That's incredible. I think that, MJ was probably one of the best, obviously, but I don't think that you could count this class out. I think that they definitely take the cake on this one. So, Ethan, I think you're alone in that one, sir.
Well, yeah, I'm proud of being alone because it seems like I'm the only one using my brain on this one.
No, because I have as much stats as you do, Ethan.
But I mean, you take this a 3v3 between Kobe. Just think of it a 3v3 scenario right here. Who are you taking? Who are you putting your money on?
Okay, obviously you have John Stockton, the point guard, and Duncan and Garnett's not going to be able to just line up one-on-one with him. But again, they are big men down in the paint, so and their defensive stars. So
David Robinson was 7-1.
Oh my God! You have two big men in the paint. So unless Stockton's pulling up threes the whole time, what all you got is Michael Jordan scoring, Stockton shooting from deep, and then David Robinson's going to battle with Duncan and Garnett, and then you have Kobe out here shooting from half court pretty much all the time, making shots that you wouldn't believe he's making. And I mean, that's just
MJ would lock down Kobe.
He possibly might, but Kobe's going to still do a fadeaway jumper, and you're going to go like, this is amazing.
MJ's just going to get the flu, and it's over.
I think it just comes down to those championships like Ellison talked about.
Exactly.
Championships. So
right?
That's what everyone cares about.
It's the championships. Yes.
I don't know. Did any of those guys make the playoffs every season they were with their team?
But they're 5-time champions.
5-time. I mean, MJ and David Robinson have the championships. I'm sorry, John Stockton doesn't, but he made it all 19 seasons, and I think that's great.
I don't know. I can't agree with you there, man.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
So defensive when
I'm
nobody's
not
side,
getting defensive. I'm just defending myself against
exactly.
this hive mind. All right, we're gonna move on to the next question. What is it, Hunter?
All right, so the next question we have is, if the NHL playoffs get started, which team will win their conference? And this was by Adam Zimmer, 61. So essentially, it's which team do you think are going to be in the Stanley Cup? And we'll just have Rachel start this one off.
Okay. Well, for me, it was kind of I picked two in each conference and then kind of looked at it from that way. But for me, I think it was going to be the Bruins and the Blues. Just points-wise, I mean, if you look at their stats, Bruins were leading their conference 100 and Blues were leading theirs at 94. And the only closest one to the Bruins or the Blues was the Avs at 92. I think that they definitely could have a good chance of getting to that spot and maybe pushing themselves to get to that championship. But for me, it was just kind of straightforward Bruins and Blues in the championship. So
yeah, so rematch.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. For me, it was I'm not a big hockey guy. But looking at it, I chose the Knights and the Bruins. I battled with the Avs. I see the Avs are good. They are 7-3-1 in the last 10 games. So I kind of looked at that as that's not looking good compared to the 8-2 and 0 in the last 10 games for the Knights. And the Blues, who are also 8-2, but they cannot win an overtime game more than the Knights can. So that's what I chose. That's why I chose the Knights, because they can win an overtime game more than the Blues can. And then the Bruins, I didn't see anybody else that can match up with the Bruins, so that's why I'm going to put the Knights and the Bruins together. And you never know. It could be the Blues, but just from what I'm looking at stats-wise, it could be the Knights and the Bruins. So.
Okay. I think we're all going to have the Bruins coming out of the East. I mean, they're probably the undisputed best team in the East. I mean, they've only given up 174 goals on the season, which is an NHL best. They're two goaltenders and Tuukka Rask and Devoslav Halak, however you say that name. Hockey players have the weirdest names on earth. I mean, they're combined 44 and 14 of a combined 92.5 save percentage, that's basically unheard of in hockey. I mean, that's just an elite goaltending core. But out of the West, I've got to go with the Avs, and because the Avs have something, they've got something lurking. And you said that they were 7-3-1 in their last 10, but they were missing Andrei Burakovsky, Matt Calvert, Philip Grubauer, their number one goaltender, Nazem Kadri, one of their leaders on the second line, and 2/5 of their top line, and Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, who are some of the most exciting guys in the league. I mean, not Mikko, excuse me. Nathan McKinnon's been was coming into the season one of the favorites to win the MVP, and that's a huge part of their point production and their defense that was out. And the Avs have the most missed games due to injury of any team in the NHL, and they're still 92nd. And this is a team that barely made the playoffs last year and ended up beating the number one team in the West in the first round of the playoffs. And I think they're a young, exciting team that could make a push into the Stanley Cup playoffs. You can't forget about Cale Makar, who is easy front runner for the Rookie of the Year. So I think the Avs come out of the West.
Yeah, I agree with all the points that you're all making, but the one I'm going to have to agree with the most is Ellison. I completely agree with that. We have Boston in the East and the Golden Knights in the West. I just don't see the Avs coming out of that West. They struggle in the playoffs. They've had a lot of playoff struggles, but with the Golden Knights, I think it's going to be a tough matchup if this does happen with St. Louis, because those two teams are going to match it up. But I think it really comes down to that goaltending that we've all been talking about. And Marc-Andre Fleury is a man that has been there and a man that has won with the Penguins. And I think just his experience in the playoffs is really important. And taking a look at that last game against St. Louis, it was 6-5 and the Golden Knights had them. So I think the Golden Knights would probably win that in Game 7. And then flipping over to the East, you have Boston, who they lost last year in Game 7. They're hungry. As you can see, they're 22-4-9 at home and would have home ice advantage. So I just don't see anybody beating Boston, as unfortunate it is for me to say that. And they just have a three-headed monster in Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron. So like you're all saying, Boston, I think, is going to come out on top in that East. And I think it's a little bit of a throw between St. Louis and the Golden Knights there in the West, but I don't know. It's
the West is close. The West is close.
Yeah. I think
two hockey experts.
Good.
It's too bad we couldn't actually see this go down.
Yeah, I know. Man, I feel kind of special having Hunter agree with me. He's a hockey expert. Ethan, you are a loyal fan to all Colorado teams.
Oh, no, that was just logic.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
I'm good, man.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, Ram fans, that is the second quarantine edition of Down in the DMs. Already down. Check. I hope you guys have a good Friday, because it is Good Friday. And make sure that your Easter Sunday is a good one. Check back in next Friday to see some more questions and answers from your favorite crew. Have a good day.